If someone had told me a month ago that my life would change forever because of one decision, I would have laughed in their face. But here I am, standing in a life I no longer recognize, in a body that isn't mine, serving a mistress I can't resist. My name was Chris. I was just an average guy. Unemployed, struggling, and desperate. Bills were piling up, and rejection letters were the only mail I got. When I saw an ad for a live-in assistant job, I thought it was my ticket out of the mess I was drowning in. The ad was simple. Room and board provided. Generous pay. Discretion required. It sounded too good to be true, but I didn't have the luxury to be picky. I applied, and to my surprise I got a response the very next day. The job was at an old mansion on the edge of town. It was the kind of place you'd see in a movie, a massive ivy-covered estate with towering gates that creaked ominously when they opened. It felt like the air itself was heavier there, thicker, almost suffocating. When I arrived, I was greeted by her. Selena. She was the most striking woman I'd ever seen. Tall, elegant, and exuding a confidence that made you feel small in her presence. Her green eyes seemed to pierce straight through me, and her smile was both inviting and unsettling. She explained the job with a calm, commanding tone. I would handle household tasks, assist her in day-to-day matters, and most importantly, respect her rules. Her words had an air of finality, as if I didn't really have a choice. And then she handed me the contract. I should have read it. I should have studied every word, but I didn't. Selena poured me tea as she spoke, her voice smooth and hypnotic. I was too distracted by her, too eager to secure the job. I signed it without a second thought. That's when everything changed. The moment the pen left the paper, a strange sensation washed over me. My body felt like it was being pulled apart and reassembled. Panic set in as I looked down and saw my hands, no longer rough and calloused but soft, delicate. I staggered, gripping the edge of the table as my chest tightened and swelled, my waist cinched inward, and my legs elongated. My clothes seemed to dissolve into nothing, replaced by something utterly foreign, a black and white maid's dress, complete with lace trim and a frilly apron. I ran to a mirror, my heart pounding. The reflection staring back at me wasn't Chris. It was a woman, beautiful, with auburn hair that cascaded over her shoulders, wide eyes filled with confusion, and a figure that seemed designed to turn heads. Lucy, a voice whispered in my mind. You are Lucy now. At first I fought against it. I told myself this wasn't real, that I could find a way out. But Selena's voice echoed in my head, soft yet commanding, reminding me of the contract I had signed. The changes weren't just physical. My mind was shifting. My interests, my desires, they weren't mine anymore. The thought of women, which had once fueled my fantasies, faded into the background, replaced by something else. Something I didn't want to admit. And the uniform, it felt right. Every time I smoothed the fabric or tied the apron, a strange satisfaction bubbled up inside me. I wanted to serve, to please, to belong. It scared me how natural it felt. Days turned into weeks. I became Lucy in every sense of the word. My walk, my voice, even my thoughts were no longer mine. I polished silverware, arranged flowers, and brewed Selena's tea with a precision and grace that felt instinctive. And every time I looked at her, I felt an overwhelming urge to obey. I thought about running, about escaping this nightmare, but every time the idea crossed my mind, something inside me resisted. The need to serve her was too strong, like an invisible chain pulling me back to her feet. I don't know who I am anymore. Chris feels like a distant memory, a name that no longer fits. I am Lucy now, Selena's maid, her creation. I can't say I chose this life, but some days I wonder if it's the life I was always meant to have.